Hi everyone, my name is Michael Keane and I work as a project manager within the ferries team at Transport Scotland, and the presentation I am about to deliver will cover our role within the programme and some of the policy work which will be undertaken. So in terms of our role, Transport Scotland is responsible to Scottish Ministers for the overall delivery of the programme, and we also need to ensure that the objectives are consistent with Scottish Government policy. A crucial part of what we do relates to the preparation of business cases. Our internal investment decision-making board considers the strategic, outline and final business cases at various stages in the programme. Just by way of an update, the strategic business case was approved in November last year, which has led to the successful appointment of naval architects and design consultants. In terms of our overall objectives, the programme seeks to improve the resilience, sustainability and accessibility of both the Gourock to Dunoon and Gourock to Kilcreggan services by building new vessels which are purposely designed for the routes. It also seeks to build resilient infrastructure at the ports and retain an alternative mainland port facility at Gourock, which will support Bute and Arran services. Moving on to the next slide, which talks about some of the recent policy decisions. The Gourock to Dunoon service was transferred to Calmac as a passenger-only service in January 2019. We are looking to design vessels and infrastructure which are optimised for the route. Following the transfer of the Kilcreggan service to the Clyde and Hebrides contract, the scope of the programme was amended to include a vessel and infrastructure solution to this service. So essentially we want to make both services as resilient as we practically can. If I can now turn to some policy work which is underway. Transport Scotland is currently developing an islands connectivity plan which in part will replace the current ferries plan by the end of 2022. The plan itself will be developed within the policy context provided by the recently published National Transport Strategy and National Islands Plan, and will be closely linked to the emerging Strategic Transport Projects Review. In order to consider island connectivity more broadly, it will incorporate aviation, ferries, fixed links and connecting and onward travel. Part of this work will include a community needs and market assessment of all routes within the Clyde and Hebrides ferry service network, and the Gourock to Dunoon and Gourock to Kilcreggan routes will be appraised over the coming weeks and months. This work will be taken forward using the routes and services methodology. The methodology will focus on 6 key steps: identifying the needs of the community, defining the ferry service profile that fits the community's needs, defining the current ferry service profile, comparing the current and proposed service profiles to identify gaps in provision, proposing and appraising options for addressing gaps in service provision, and prioritising options to be taken forward in the short, medium and long term. I would like to provide some background information as to how the routes and services methodology work was undertaken as part of the ferries review. Community needs for ferry services were assessed against 4 dependencies using 11 quantitative indicators. The 4 dependencies were daily commuting, personal travel for essential services but not daily, for example healthcare, freight, both import and export, and finally tourism. The dependencies and sailing time were used to produce a consistent model service profile for both summer and winter. This was then compared to the existing service and a gap analysis was generated. The ferries plan then set out how gaps would be met and had to take account of what was and what was not realistic with regards to service patterns, for example, frequency and length of day. So going forward, and as part of the work relating to the Islands Connectivity Plan, the Community Needs Assessment will refresh and focus on the following elements: Dependencies based on routes and services methodology indicators and verifying those findings with communities. Model service profiles and update current service profiles, taking into account issues such as reliability and capacity. Consider and consult on options on how gaps can be addressed, including by aviation and current and/or fixed links. Assess the options against policy objectives, STAG criteria, and overall value for money and affordability considerations. And finally, consider how to capture future and current needs based on existing development plans. Moving on to the market assessment. This focuses on whether identified connectivity needs are being met or could be met without government intervention. So government intervention in a market is typically justified to correct a market failure or to address social welfare concerns such as access to healthcare. Market failure in ferry services could appear as an undesirable level of market concentration, fare levels which are economically disadvantageous, connectivity or accessibility constraints for certain groups of users, dependence on services with suboptimal performance and insufficient capacity. So in terms of assessing market failure, this requires an evidence-based approach to the following: establishing service requirements, assessing the adequacy of current services, and considering whether an adequate service could be provided by the market without government intervention. Now, there is a wide range of discretion in law for governments to define what constitutes adequate service provision, which extends to socio-economic factors such as the need for communities to prosper and grow in line with wider government plans and objectives. And as mentioned before, the above methodology will be applied to each and every route on the Clyde and Hebrides ferry service network, and all elements of the community needs assessment and assessing market need will be evaluated as this work progresses over the coming months. I just want to finish up by saying that it is an exciting programme to be involved in, and we believe that good progress has been made to date. We are aware that there will be a lot of interest in the programme of work, so if you would like to leave feedback or ask a question on the content of this presentation in particular, you can do so by emailing gdkprogram@transport.gov.scot. Thank you.